Nobody likes reading the rules to the game. Nobody listens when you try to tell them the rules anyway. So what if we can make the starting steps to your game night just a little bit easier? Let's look into how 6 unlikely friends, an ever-changing floor plan, and the paranormal can help you stop your friend turned foe as they try to usher in the end times. Welcome to the library, and today we'll be looking at the rules and gameplay for Betrayal at House on the Hill. Betrayal at House on the Hill is a 3 to 6 player co-op game where one of the players becomes the game's villain. Now this game is played in 2 phases, the setup phase and the haunt phase. But before we talk about gameplay, I want to talk about all of the pieces that we're working with. There are lots of pieces and parts that are needed to make this game work, starting at character selection. There are 6 dual-sided character selection cards that would have a row of numbers displaying your stats. I purchased these ones with spinner wheels just so it didn't scuff up the plastic, but there's also an app if you want to keep your scores that way. Each character also has a little mini with it too. Now, let's talk about the game board. Or game boards. There is a main hall, upper landing, basement landing, and in the expansion, a roof landing. Then there are 42 to 61 room tiles. You'll also have 3 stacks of cards labeled events, items, and omens. Next up is all the tokens. There are 14 pentagonal item tokens, 18 triangular tokens for might, knowledge, and sanity, 6 apiece, 14 to 18 square event or room tokens, 12 to 16 circular big bad monster tokens, and then 91 small monster tokens in 7 separate colors. Again, exclusive to the Widow's Walk expansion, there are 36 small player tokens, 6 per character, 24 square obstacle tiles, 4 square lock tiles, and 4 square plant tiles. With all the tiles out of the way, you're down to your last 10 pieces. 8 dice, the Secrets of Survival Guide, and the Trader's Tome. Now that you know all the parts, let's get on to the gameplay. To start, you're going to place your entrance hall and the 3 landings on the table, giving them enough room because your house is going to be growing. Next, grab your character and your character card and place him in the entrance hall. Each character has 4 starting stacks that you can place coffin markers on. These markers will move up or down during the first game phase, depending on how you explore. To finish setting up, shuffle the house tiles and give them to one player to deal out when needed. Think of them like the banker from Monopoly. This is just to make sure that you have room to let your house build out. Do the same for the omens, items, and event cards. The player whose character has the next birthday will go first. On your turn, you will explore rooms up to your character's speed trait number. To explore, pull from the pile of room cards and make sure that the floor you're on is on the back of the tile. If not, place it aside and keep pulling until you can play a room. Rooms have various doorways on their 4 walls, so make sure the doorways line up and never close off the floor if you have the option to have a door expand out. As the house gets bigger and wackier, there will be some rooms that are next to each other but not have connected doorways. Despite one room having a door, you cannot go through them unless both do. Some rooms will have challenges to pass through them, or even perks or torments for ending your turn in them. You can keep exploring rooms until you discover a room that makes you draw a card, indicated by the symbol in the corner. Once there, stop moving for your turn. Draw the card that corresponds to the symbol, and see what the card gives you. You may get events, which will give you a challenge that can either help or hurt you, depending on your role. Item cards, giving you an object that will help you in adventuring. Or the omens, that will give you an object that can give you buffs, but at a sinister cost. If a card makes your stat fall down to the skull symbol, just put it back to the lowest setting. No one's allowed to die during phase 1. If you pull an omen card, you're then going to make a haunt roll. If the number rolled is larger than the number of all omen cards active in the game, keep going with exploration. If not, you start the haunt. If you're playing expansionless, the Trader's Tome is going to have the graph you need. However, if you're playing with the Widow's Walk, it has a graph for all 100 haunts. Using the last omen pulled and the room it was found in, determine who the traitor is. If it happens that two people could become the traitor, the Haunt Revealer will be the traitor. If the Haunt Revealer is not one of those two people, the person closest to the Haunt Revealer will be the traitor. If it still ends up being a tie, the Haunt Revealer gets to pick. In that case, the traitor will receive the traitor's tome and will be asked to go to a different room to read their rules and win conditions. The remaining survivors will read the Secrets to Survival guide and read their reasons to play. Once everyone's ready, the traitor can come back. Now, in some haunts, you need to rearrange rooms, pull items, even write things down and keep them hidden. At this point, everyone's playing to win. So let's talk about some of the things that can happen. You can still explore, unless the haunt specifically states, or you run out of room tiles. You can keep exploring the house. The rules of exploration are the same in Phase 1 for survivors. But for the traitor, in the case of events, you can read, but before you roll the dice, you can opt to just not do it. Characters can die. In Phase 2, now your stats can be lowered to the skull symbol. If one of your stats hits skull, then you are dead. And unless it states so in the haunt scenario, you are out of the game. Now, traitors, sometimes you can die and still not lose. So make sure you read your rules carefully to see when you need to be alive or when you just need your minions to be alive. Slower movement during confrontations. During Phase 2, if you are in a room with an opponent, so for the survivors, the traitor or his minions, or for the traitor, the survivors, your speed is slowed by 1 for every opponent in the room. In this scenario, if I have a speed stat of 4 and there's 2 villains in the room, to leave the room, it's going to cost me 3. So I get to go 3, 4. This, of course, does not apply if your opponents are stunned. Fight. You and your opponents can fight. While this is normally a contested strength roll, given the haunt, omens, items, just about anything, sometimes you can fight with all of your traits. With all that in mind, the first player or team to complete their goal wins. This has been the rulebook for Betrayal at House on the Hill. Let me know what your favorite haunt is, but remember, sometimes having fun with your friends means forgetting a rule or two. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what board, card, or tabletop game you want me to read the rulebook for next. Thanks for watching.